Have you ever wondered how these Marvel superhero technology gets designed, how they create something mind-boggling CGI and special effect works? Or even where the ideas for the futuristic tech in the Marvel universe come from? Are you curious about this? Well, we're gonna be covering all these facts just in this video, so sit tight and watch this episode till the end. This is Justin. Welcome to another episode of Infinity Pioneer Set. It might be the A-list stars donning the capes and masks, but the real heroes of today's CGI-heavy comic book movies are the special effects artists, the men and women who really make it all possible, of course. If you're not convinced that's the case, just try watching those movies before the effects were added in 2014. Was a big year for Marvel movies and beyond. It wasn't at all easy to achieve. The sequence had to be shot at a mind-blowing 3,600 frames per second. Compare that to the standard 24 for most films. A frame rate that high requires huge amounts of light to work. From real scientific labs that are exploring acoustic levitation, ferrofluids, and somatics, behind this cinematic boundary between science and science fiction is a special effect the team that makes the technology you see in these Marvel films feel like it's right on the cusp. In an interview with Jeremy Lasky, co-partner of Perception VFX of Marvel, says, "We're looking for ways to take what we already know is plausible and achievable and take it just a little step further and have them say, 'Can't wait until we have that technology.'" The work we do for feature films is really centered around designing the technology for these characters, mainly Marvel superheroes. Perception contributed to Marvel Studios in many different ways. Beginning with conceptual consultations about relevant technologies, moving into designs and animations to bring some of those technological ideas to life, and ultimately working on ideas that extended all the way into two special sequences within the film, including the film's closing title sequence. They presented a creative consultation and beginning production on black paper. This presentation focused on ways that technology and design fit into the story of these movies and exist within the unique setting of fictional world. They leveraged their experience in real-world tech to discuss various technologies and phenomena while putting an emphasis on sound to tie into the story's fictional elements. Doug Appleton, VFX director of Perception, says, "We want everything to feel real. Where's it going to be 5 years or 10 years, even 20 years from now, and then incorporating that thought process into all of the designs." For over 11 years, this VFX team's been at the helm of title card sequences, displays, and full technology landscapes. Technology moves the narrative forward because so many of their characters are built on the foundation of science. Tony Stark is an engineer and technology genius. Bruce Banner, scientist, physicist, doctor. Doctor Strange was a brain surgeon. So many of these characters come from the lab. And the specific design that goes into a character's technology becomes another expression of their identity. Marvel has this unspoken technology innovation where each character's in a different from each other. For many years, there was no one who had better technology than Tony Stark. He was absolutely at the highest rung of that ladder. Robert Downey Jr. is for some reason surprisingly good at holding up a fake thing and making motions and circling things and making it seem real. That design was all driven by his performance because he's doing radical moves and he's tapping. So they know, all right, they need a radial element over here because otherwise his spin is not going to work. So that's how that design gets created. Nick Fury in S.H.I.E.L.D., when we see his tech, it's a lot more utilitarian, it's a lot more militaristic, very purpose-driven. Then, Black Panther and Wakanda came along, and all of a sudden that superseded Tony Stark, and we had to go beyond his technological innovation. Let's talk about Logan movie. Logan was a milestone movie in Fox's long-running X-Men franchise. Not only because it was Hugh Jackman's final bow as Wolverine, but also because it was the first time fans got to see the Clawed mutant in all his R-rated glory. The levels of violence on display during Logan were like nothing before seen in the X-Men universe, and this meant the VFX team had their work cut out for them. But Rising Sun Pictures VFX supervisor Dennis Jones relished the challenge. He told Art of VFX Logan is more brutal, visceral, and has direct consequences for the characters involved. The R rating that was confirmed from the start introduced another dynamic to play with, albeit in a restrained fashion. In the Wolverine, some of our shots had to be amended to remove blood and claw penetration. So it was great to be able to set the character free from these constraints, but that gore went far beyond just computer graphics makeup designer. Joe Harlow also told The Verge that the level of physical trauma in this film is something I haven't had to contend with since the early years when I was smearing blood. If you're the king of Wakanda, you've got to write in style and with the world's largest supply of the miracle metal vibranium. At your disposal, a Rolls-Royce or an Air Force One-style Boeing 747 simply won't do. Luckily, those Wakandan engineers and scientists clearly knew what they were doing when they designed Black Panther's jet. When King T'Challa arrived in Wakanda from his journeys abroad, he did so on a badass super sleek stealth plane that looks like it came right out of Area 51. You wouldn't know that if you were just watching the raw dailies, though. In the original footage there was no jet, no landing platform, heck, there wasn't even any wood. They're just a handful of actors on a set and a large blue screen in the background. That movie is very much built on this innovation of the element vibranium. They wanted something that felt very natural, like you could just dig this up out of the ground and you would have this incredible technology. And from those principles, then, they can start building off of that. It's this interesting thing we call the science-to-fiction feedback loop, where science fiction is created by writers or filmmakers based upon today's current technological climate. An entire generation goes to see these films, and that triggers this inspirational drive in innovators and inventors to want to take what we just saw and make it real. And eventually, when technology catches up and makes that real what was once science fiction, then it starts again. It is an endless cycle of inspiring and creative, then repeat. A tremendous amount of love and dedication from the entire Marvel Studios VFX team. We're thrilled to see the film be so well received. Hey. If you liked the video, then do subscribe our channel and hit the bell icon so that you'll never miss an update from us. Thanks for watching Infinity.